This is Visionary New Earth Leaders Podcast with me, Jenny Lyon, empowering visionary healers, entrepreneurs and leaders ready to actualize their fullest potential by expanding their consciousness and embodying 5D leadership and blending cutting-edge energy tools with business innovation and strategy to create impact and raise the world's vibration. I'm your host, Jenny Lyon Rainbow Anderson, and I am a New Earth business mentor, a channel and master healer. I'm also the leader of my own business. I have 23 plus years experience in energy work, mentorship and coaching. I'm a married mother of 2 based outside London in the UK. If you're ready to step into New Earth leadership and 5D consciousness, this is the channel to tune into and learn about embodied New Earth leadership, the power of self, energetic solutions to leadership, spiritual entrepreneurship, and joyful feminine creation. This is the vortex supporting the leaders into the new earth. Hello and welcome to Visionary New Earth Leaders Podcast. I'm so happy that you're here. We are today starting a series, the Seven Conscious Leadership Archetypes series, and it's based on the soul contract. So the soul contract is something that I work with every day. I was introduced to the soul contract work in 2009, and I have ever since been using it in my everyday life. That's on a personal level, on a business level, on a relationship level. So I use it everywhere. I use it in my business, with my clients on a daily basis, and in my own life as well, and in my business on a daily basis. It really has become a part of how I navigate and steer my vision, the things that I see in my mind's eye that I would like to accomplish this lifetime. I rely on this intelligence. So before we dive in, we're going to be talking about 7 different archetypes, which is actually something I'm going to share more about, especially for leaders, people working in powerful positions, whether they are a leader of their own business or if they're a leader in an organization, or if they are simply a leader of their own life, which, this is something we need to be before we can lead anyone else anyway, but just simply leadership. So if you're interested in the soul contract and you kind of think, well, I don't know about this so much yet, Jenny, I recommend that you go and listen to episode 6, which is revealing the secrets of your soul contract, which is one of my episodes in this podcast. So feel free to head over there after this session, or if you want to go there first, if you are not familiar with the soul contract, you can do that as well. So let's dive into this. The first archetype that I'm going to be talking about is the archetype of the 10-1. And 10-1, the number 10-1 is really close to my heart because the 10-1 is very dominant in my chart, but it's also the very energy that has helped me create leadership in my own life and in my own business as well. So I wanted to start off with the 10-1 because the 10-1 is so dear to my heart. I have a 10-1 in my soul destiny, and I also have a 10-1 in my spiritual karma. And which is very interesting because I'm going to tell you all about the 10-1 today in leadership and how you can harness the energy of the 10-1 in your leadership and really become an excellent leader by harnessing this energy in the right way. So if you haven't learned yet, if you have a 10-1 or you haven't had your soul contract reading, or you don't really know much more about it just yet, I really recommend that you head over to my website, and if you go to the section Work With Me, then there is one page just below that says soul contract readings. You can go to this page on my website just to have a look actually and learn a little bit more about different ways you can explore the soul contract as well. So you can actually get a summarized report if you didn't want a one-to-one reading. And many people start with a summary report before they dive in and have their full reading. So head over there and make sure you just check that out so that you know if you have a 10-1 or not in your chart. But yeah, let's go back into the energies of this. So to me, the 10-1 is really significant because it symbolizes the heartache that I went through as a child by not being with my father. And although I had a very beautiful relationship with my father, my parents were separated, they divorced. So I never really spent that sort of connective time with my dad unless it was at the weekends or the holidays. So every time he had me or we did things at the weekend, he would then drop me off on a Monday morning to school, or before that to daycare, and I was mortified. I was crying. So I had this kind of like abandonment trauma in my body since an early age, of abandonment of the masculine, really. Although he didn't technically abandon me, he obviously was having to leave me, and I wouldn't see him for 2 weeks unless I saw him on a Wednesday or something. So I know this sounds a little bit odd maybe, and I think many children have this experience, but for me it was very intense because I was very, very close with my dad, and we have a karmic connection, a really karmic, close soul connection, and he was a real anchor for me in my life. And he passed away in 2017. But so the 10-1 is very significant to me in this way, because 10-1 just generally, it symbolizes masculine stability. It's the energy of Archangel Michael. It really sort of symbolizes that part that makes you feel stable, in higher consciousness, and very connected to spirit, very connected to God. And this is the energy which I felt was abandoning me, every couple of weeks, and, not growing up with my father as such. So that's my experience with the 10-1. The other experience I have with the 10-1 is that I have 10-1 in my spiritual karma, and it just means that I felt disconnected to my spiritual practice for many years, and I also actually hid it. I didn't want anyone to judge or shame me for being spiritual, so I would hide the fact that I was very spiritual and that I loved spiritual practice, and that I wasn't brave enough really to own it, if that makes sense. It made me feel very disempowered. So the experience I have with the 10-1 is disempowerment as well. So not feeling empowered enough to stand in my spiritual truth, and also not incorporating a spiritual practice in my daily life, which made me feel really, really lost actually. And it kind of is obvious to me now that a spiritual practice is necessary for my well-being. But at the time when I was like 20, 25, I had no idea that I needed a spiritual practice to stay connected and feel really happy and fulfilled. But obviously that changed as soon as I discovered that's what I needed to do. I really committed to that. So let's talk about the leadership and the 10-1. So the 10-1 has, so this is the positive aspects of the 10-1 in leadership. So I call that the anchor, and the perfectionist would be the negative aspects of a 10-1 leader, right? So we're going to talk about the positive ones first, because I love everything that is positive and empowering and everything, but it's also important to look at the karmic aspects and the negative aspects so that we can learn how to transmute them into positive aspects. So the positive frequencies of Yod, which is number 10, are basically being in total service. And it's like androgynes, that's the word, energies of God. So when you think of servant leadership, that's the word in corporate. Servant leadership means that you are in service, like you are there to service the teams, you are there to service your clients, you're there to service. So 10-1 has got this amazing servant energy, which is of a high frequency, not being a servant to others and not looking after yourself. This is about being in service, just being in service and guiding the people. And it also has the energies of female-male balance within. So although it is a very masculine energy as such, it's like a masculine stability frequency to it, it really does hold that energy of balance within it as well. And it also holds the balance to, or the frequency of, achieving conscious mastery. So if we think of new earth leadership and leadership into the new paradigm, we want very conscious leaders, leaders that are stable, leaders that are very conscious, leaders that are in service, leaders that are objective, and leaders that are there to raise the vibration of the planet, really. So the 10-1 also holds the energies of the star sign Virgo, which is critical, analytical, and meticulous and discriminating, which means that somebody with a 10-1, so I've got 2 of the 10-1s, are very paying very lot of attention to detail. It needs to be kind of perfect, which is actually one of the negative connotations, right? So the perfectionist is the negative aspect of the 10-1. Being too critical, and things like that. We're going to talk about that in a moment. The 10-1 also, in a positive aspect, is a very steady worker. We really put the work in. And sometimes I have worked too hard, actually. It feels, I have 2 of those 10-1s, and I sometimes have to work really hard for things. Not meaning working hard in a sort of slugging my gut energy, more like continuous, finishing it, making sure it's perfect, meeting the deadline. I suppose it's like more of a meticulous energy, which is really great to have in leadership, because if you have that energy, then it means that you are probably going to finish those projects, you're going to meet those deadlines, and you make sure you do a good job, basically. The 10-1 also have the father energies of creation, which is, if you think of 10-1 being connected to the crown chakra, it's like you have this connection to divine source, to divine intelligence. And if you can allow that to come through your crown, and you're literally channeling the energies of what you need to do in your leadership and how to lead the people, whether that is your team or whether that is leading your clients in your business or leading in a company, if you have that connection to higher power, it just means that people can feel that as well, and they probably trust you because they can feel this. It is an authority, but it's also integrity. It's a lot of integrity that comes through the 10-1. And Archangel Michael energies are very much like the masculine energies of God. So it's also an expression of unity, power, and stability. So I think with 10-1, having somebody with a 10-1 leading a conscious company, or leading a conscious business, or leading a small team, a team of members of your, in your company, or whatever it is, it really is going to raise your standards. It's really going to hold very high levels of standards within the people that are near you, and they're going to really feel this high level of integrity and higher consciousness coming through you. So that means that you're going to do well as well. It's a great power of expression, and obviously great healing powers. So anyone with 10-1 have amazing healing powers too. And the ability to relate to anyone as well. So it's about conscious mastery, great intuition, great vocal expression, being dedicated and in service. So anyone with this leadership, I call it the anchor, because when the 10-1 is very stable and anchored and in unity, it is truly an anchor for people, and they can feel the power of this leader. So let's talk about the perfectionist. So this is the negative aspects of the 10-1. The 10-1, being in this karmic position, if you like. And this is somebody who would be very critical. They might even be misusing their power, talking down to other people. They be overcritical, over judgmental. It comes from a deep sense of insecurity, because a very sort of developed 10-1 is very secure in themselves, and an underdeveloped 10-1 is insecure. They're also a perfectionist, and they can be discriminating. So this is like the misuse of power. And I don't know if you've ever had a boss in a place where you worked where the person has been like this, very critical, or maybe, perfectionist, and, nothing is ever good enough, or, that kind of thing. So a person with an underdeveloped 10-1, the perfectionist, as I call it, could also have past life misuse of lack of the soul's spiritual abilities. So basically misusing power in past lives as well. And they also have a temptation to leave the spiritual path. So somebody like myself, I have a 10-1 in my spiritual karma. If I was underdeveloped and I wasn't choosing the conscious path, I might still have an underdeveloped 10-1 and felt really insecure and not doing my meditations and my spiritual work, and felt probably deeply unhappy as well. So this is all about realizing what those energies are. Somebody with an underdeveloped 10-1 could also be self-righteous and judgmental towards others. Also very overheady, could also develop a lot of greed and avarice. So wanting to, create sort of money and wealth and benefits for themselves rather than sharing with others. So again, putting themselves first and being greedy, and not being able to see what is best for the whole group, or what's best for the greater good of all. Also avoiding the spiritual growth. So basically say, meditation, healing, spirituality is not for me, and I could potentially completely dismiss it. It's also disconnection from divine masculine energy. So with that, you can say that, for example, so I have a 10-1 in the spiritual karma, like I said, and it made me disconnected from my father on a level, but it also then made me develop some of my own masculine energies, which were not divine masculine. I had to work really hard. I always felt like I was always behind. I felt like I wasn't in my power. I was bullied at school. I didn't have, I wasn't connected to the divine masculine. I felt like I was, connected to the distorted masculine. I was bullied, I was not in my power, and all those things. So somebody with an underdeveloped 10-1 will also feel, small and insignificant, and not actually trusting themselves either, which is something I didn't do. So how does this play out in leadership? So if you think of somebody who is really emanating service, integrity, high levels of consciousness, being very inclusive, unity, the greater good for all, will be a much better leader than somebody who is out, for themselves, greedy, want to climb on other people's backs to get to the top, somebody who is maybe even addicted as well to substances and things, because the 10-1 could be addicted to substances, because they sort of numbing out and not wanting to connect really with spirit and with God. So there is that element. I leave it to you guys to decide which one you think you have met maybe in life. Have you met the anchor? has the anchor been your boss or your father or mother even? Females can have this energy as myself. Have you met the perfectionist? Have you met the perfectionist archetype? Somebody who has been, quite cruel to you, perhaps even, and somebody who's not, been at all in their sovereignty and not at all in integrity and not at all in their power. Instead, they are, sort of bullying or misusing their power to get to the top. So I'll leave that with a little bit of food for thought for you to discover more. So I will be sharing more about the archetypes. There's 7 in total. The first one was today, 10-1. And it is the perfectionist, which is the negative aspects of this archetype, and the anchor, which is the positive aspect of this archetype. And you will learn more throughout this podcast. And I'm also to develop a quiz about this so that you can learn and figure out which one is your archetype and which one is also maybe your strength, So we all have different strengths and gifts that we're meant to be using in our leadership. And if you want to dive into this deeper, go to my home, my website, and you can book your soul contract reading. As I said in the beginning of the episode, there is, obviously you can get a report if you wanted to get that first, and then you can get your soul contract reading as soon as you've decided that you want one. So head over there to my website, and I shall see you really soon. And I'm so excited to start sharing about the next 6, and I can't wait to do that with you, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for listening to Jenny Lyon's Visionary New Earth Leaders podcast. If you're ready to rewire your subconscious mind, clear your programming and collective conditioning, transform your trauma into trust, and step into your soul's calling and true leadership, or if you're ready to unlock your fullest potential through activating your light body and expand your consciousness exponentially, detangle and clear your past life karma and Akashic records, and setting up for success, launch your online spiritual business, and so much more, then go to jennylyon.love. And if you're receiving value from the show, I would love if you would share it with a friend and give it a 5-star review. Also, you can join me in one of my live free trainings, and you can find it right on the website, as well as in the link in my bio across all social media. I am Jenny Lyon across all platforms. I wish you a blessed day, and may you live your most authentic self.